Fantastic. Here we go. Sorry about that. Had some issues with the mic. But welcome everybody to episode 40 of the MakerBot Chats. I'm really happy to be here after a rather lengthy break. I think it's been like 3, maybe 4 weeks since last we did the chats. So it's great to be back with all of you guys. My name is Felipe, as you guys know. I'm the creative director here at MakerBot. And today we'll be doing a quick overview of the new clean air system for the method. You guys have probably seen it in some of our webinars, or if not, on our website, or if not, now it's a great time to learn about it. I'm going to just take you through, what it is, the overview, the parts of it, how it sets up on the method. As you can see here, it's this top lead that comes on top of my method. What it's for, what are the benefits, and all the good stuff about it. So with that, I'll also just make sure that you guys know that Alejandra's in the back end capturing the questions. So any live questions, I'll be answering them right now. And if you see these as a recording, then feel free to ask the questions in the comment section down below. But for now, let's just get started with a quick overview of what these new product or new component of the method platform is. And I'm going to jump right into the website. You can access this page essentially by navigating to our homepage, and there's a little banner there that takes you to the Clean Air System page. And it's going to show you a brief description of the system, right? So it's essentially a HEPA filter or filtration system for the method. It sits on top of your printer, as you can see here. And the idea is that it's going to add an additional layer of protection to your system overall, essentially filtering out any volatile compounds that can come out of the printing process as they come out, of course. You guys may have heard that depending on the filaments that you're using, you will be generating essentially particles. For some reason I'm not here in the video because I'm using kind of this double camera setup again. But as you guys know, the printing process, 3D printing itself, it's going to generate particles out of the extrusion process, right? As the filament heats up, as it goes through the nozzle into the chamber and it's being printed out, you can generate some particles that essentially are floating out in the environment. Method's already a closed printer, right? It comes with a heated chamber. We've talked about it in the past, and it's fairly tight in that aspect, but we do have ventilation on the top. So in order to add an additional layer of protection, especially for settings like my own here, I'm actually having my printers at home. If you're having your printer in a tighter studio, in an office space, you might want to add that additional layer to your setup, which is where the cleaner comes in, right? It's going to actually grab onto anything that's coming out of the printer, anything that's generated by a printer, and filter it out using 2 additional filters or filtering layers. I'll go through those 2 in a second. I'll finish up, running through the website. It's, that covers the 3 main components of this product. So it's HEPA filtration. We've all heard about HEPA. It's actually going to be capturing the finest particles that you could imagine, right? We've heard all about it, I suppose, now, with whatever happened, or the whole thing that came down last year, we've all heard about HEPA. HEPA is actually the standard that they use in different places, such as hospitals, airplanes, for filtering out that air that's being circulated over and over in an enclosed space. So that's the same type of filter that we're using here. And the idea is to keep your environment clean, right? To keep any potential volatiles that can come out from the printing process trapped, whether in the printer or on the filter itself. Second thing that's really important, the smart control, right? This is not just a passive filter that's on top of your printer. It's actually going to be doing 2 things. It's going to be pumping air out of the machine and forcing the air through that filter, right? So to guarantee or to further push those volatile compounds into the filter, we are having essentially, and I'll show you guys here in a second, but a pretty robust motor on the top part of it that will toggle on and off at the different speeds depending on the filament that you're using, to essentially extract more or less air depending on the process that's being taken care of, right? So the filter itself is connected to the printer. The printer will be managing the speed of the fan, and the fan will react according to whatever it is that you're printing, whether it's ABS or PLA. There will be different flows or flow rates on the system, And of course, if there's no printing happening, like right now, the filter is essentially off. Finally, the easy change, right? The idea, and you'll see it in a second as I replace these elements here, is that you can swap all of it without tools, right? It doesn't require any sort of any tool at all. It's just nested on top of your printer, both the filters, the lathe, the motor itself, and it's super easy to replace. I'll show you guys how it's replaced in just a second. And of course, it comes as part of the method platform, right? It's an additional element. You can see that I'm using a lot of them right here. So I'm side loading my polycarbonate from Polymaker here, using my Labs extruder, the Method X, of course, the kind of the hero, the main component of the system. And on top of it all, I've got now the clean air. That, as I said before, it's just an additional element that gives me more peace of mind, especially when working in an enclosed space like here at my house, still working from home over here in New York. But you know, it's going to further work with you to create a better environment for your printer, right? We know that with Sketch, the Sketch is also an enclosed system. It's not as sealed as the method itself, but it's also using less materials that are less prone to generating volatile compounds. And we have tested it out. We actually have a Green Guard certification for Sketch when using PLA or tough materials. So in essence, it's going to be really low, the amount of volatile compounds that you're generating in the Sketch. So you really don't need anything else on top of the chamber that it already has because of the type of material that it's using. However, in the method, as you get into more dedicated, say, technical materials, you will want to add that additional layer of protection to your system, especially if you're thinking about deploying this printer in an enclosed space, in a smaller office location. And you know, all in all, I would say that as a user, the most impressive thing that I've sensed so far is the change in the smell. So you can definitely, I know that you guys may have had this experience with PLA, right? It smells like pancakes sometimes. I don't know, for me it does, like pancakes or essentially corn syrup. It's PLA, it's corn based, so that's might be why. ABS has a much more aggressive smell to it, or scent to it. And the lead, essentially for me, right, it has removed all of those smells. So that's a very, you know, qualitative approach, just one user talking about his experience, but it's definitely made a noticeable difference on my setup, especially, as I said before, me working in a tighter space. I'm going to jump back into my main camera here, and as you have questions, please do send them over. Alejandro is going to be capturing them throughout, and at the end of it all, I'll go through those questions and answer them, right? So I'm hoping that my mic, I think it's working, that my mic stays here with me. So, you know, this is the setup already built up. Let me tilt my camera up a little bit. Here we go. And I'm going to be showing you guys, I'm a little bit taller than the method. I guess that's a good thing, right? Anyways, I'm going to be showing you guys how does this setup come into place, how to fit it in the printer, and what are the main components that make up the cleaner setup, right? So you can see that right now the cleaner system is actually connected directly to my USB port. It's actually going to be using that USB port in order to toggle, as I said before, the speed of the fan itself. And it is detected. If I go here to settings, now I have, with the new firmware update, you will be able to see this new setting, the second to last setting, cleaner settings. And that's actually now detecting whether or not you have a cleaner. Couple of things that are happening here. I'll bring you guys closer in just a second, but there's an icon that indicates that the cleaner has been detected. And here in the cleaner settings menu, you have two options, whether check on the filter status or replace the filter. If I hit on filter status, it's going to tell me how many hours has the printer been running with the filter itself. It comes off with 1,000 hours run. That's kind of like the ballpark of how long will the filter last for. And you can either replace the filter or reset the filter, right? So if you have, say, made a mistake and it's been running without a filter or whatever, you can just reset it, bring it back to 1,000 hours, or replace the filter, right? When you hit the 1,000 hours, you get the new filter and essentially just put it back. I'll go back in here to my main menu and now walk you guys through the process of putting the filter in place. First of all, I'm going to turn it off. It has two main wires, the power cable and the data cable. The power. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it, hang it here on the side. And the data cable, as I said before, as you can see here, the printer has already detected that the air filter, there's an error being detected. That's essentially telling me that, hey, it was disconnected, what's up? And it's looking for it still because it knew that it was there and now it's not. So nothing major happening there. And the data cable, just removing that data cable. It's a standard regular USB to USB-B port. And once I remove both cables, I'm able to show you guys kind of the main component. So this is the main element of the filter itself, right? As I said before, here we go. It has a rather powerful fan here attached to the top. That's going to be actively extracting the air from the housing itself and from the printer in turn, and forcing that air through both filters. And I'll show you guys the filters in a second, right? It's actually just nested on top of the lid. It comes with a couple of magnets that also help it, help guide it, but it's essentially, in place based on the weight of it, right? It has the switch, the AC, connection port, two USB ports. That's if you're still directly exporting to your printer using a USB, you can use the USB ports on top of the clean air instead of the front one, because as you could imagine now, the front port of the method is going to be used by the clean air. So you have two extra ports if you wanted to still export directly to your printer. I think that you should try, if you haven't already, try CloudPrint, wireless, awesome experience. I was kind of a little bit hesitant myself at the very beginning, but by now I just love it. It's just so much, such a better flow than what I had before with the USB stick and connecting to the printer and whatnot. But if you wanted to use a USB stick, you have now two ports here in the clean air. And finally, the data cable, that port that will connect to the printer itself, right? So main component, the motor over here, I'll put it to the side. First filter, carbon filter on the top. This is an additional component to it. Great. We've all heard about carbon filters overall. I think that it's a great additional layer on the filter itself, but the main component here is going to be our HEPA filter, right? And you'll see here, I don't see, it's actually still pretty brand new. I probably have used it, as it was saying here, about 20 hours so far. So essentially brand new. The filter itself has indicators here telling you how to place it, how the airflow is going to run. So essentially it's coming from the printer, being forced up through the filter and out through the fan, right? And as you saw here, it's just nested on that lid, and the lid itself, kind of to complete the process, is also just nested on top of the method, right? So that's my standard method. There's no changes needed to be done on the printer side itself. I'll just put the lid here, hoping that it doesn't fall down. The printer is just standard, as it comes. I just have my side loading spool here for the lapse extruder, but I'm not making any changes, right? I'm not replacing the top lid on the printer. I'm not making any changes on the gantry itself. I'm just taking my new clean air lid, placing the lid on top, just nesting in it and aligning the gasket here against the printer itself. Next up comes my HEPA filter, right? It's sighted, right? So it's going to tell me how the airflow is supposed to be running. It's coming from the bottom to the top, placing the HEPA filter there. Placing now my carbon filter on top of that. And the final component, we talked about it in the past, kind of the smarts of the filter, the main component, I suppose, with the fan and the electronics in place, comes up last. I'm just dropping that in, plugging my power cord here, taking my USB cord and plugging it here. It's indicating, printer, power, USB 1 and USB 2, as I mentioned before, and turning it up. And that's pretty much it. That's the exact same process that you would follow when the filter is brand new, right? So I've just run through the installation. It takes you literally 2 minutes, if that, maybe a little bit more if you're unboxing it. There's an actual unboxing video online if you want to look that out in our YouTube channel. But that's pretty much it, right? Once you start printing, the filter is going to automatically, as I said, toggle the speed. And yeah, for me, especially for this particular setting indoors, smaller, perhaps, I'm probably in a room that's probably around 700 square feet, probably. So it's definitely an additional component that gives me more peace of mind. It does remove for me a lot of the smells that I was getting with some filaments, particularly with ABS. So in that's my qualitative assessment of it. But we have run quantitative testing on it, and we do know that it dramatically reduces the amount of volatile compounds that might be emitted across the printing process. So with that, I'm going to come back here to my main view, switch over the camera, and start running through your questions, right? So if you have any questions, Alejandro is there on the back end to capture them up, and I'll be happy to answer them right now. Let's see. So what's the overall height of the method with the cleaner attachment? So the attachment, as you can see here, adds about 5 to 6 inches to the printer. The overall height, I don't have my measuring tape with me right now, but I can take you guys, let's see. If I come, apologies for this. Let's switch over to the website. Here we go. Coming to the method. I don't want to make up numbers here. So the overall method height is going to be 25, almost 26 inches here from bottom to top, plus 5 inches with the lid itself. So we're talking about roughly 30 inches overall with filter plus method on top of your working bench, right? Hoping that answers the question. Let's carry on to the next question. What's the noise level of the filtering system? Well, I can actually start a print. That's a good question. I'll go ahead and connect to my printer through CloudPrint. Let me show you guys the process of it all too as I do so. So let me share my screen with you guys. Here we go. CloudPrint. .makerbot.com. There we go. Signing in. Just making sure that I'm sharing my screen here. All right, sorry about that. Here's my screen. Here's my printer. Start a new print. And picking up a small file. And here we go. It's essentially a hook that I designed that's helping me hang stuff around here in the house. I'm going to be running it with ABS. As I said before, right now I have a lapse extruder, so it's not automatically detecting the material that I have in the printer. So yeah, I'm just selecting ABS. Right now, this is the CloudPrint environment in case that you guys haven't seen it before. It's great to test it out. Go to cloudprint.makerbot.com. It's completely free. You don't need the printer to test it out and then just take it for a run. I'll go ahead and hit Q here. That slices it, and while it slices, I'll come back to the additional questions, and I'll let it run, and in just a second you guys will see the well, actually hear the sound that it makes, but it's not loud at all. I would say it's definitely quieter than the printing process itself, so it's a fan on top of it. It's not really adding much noise to the process. How much is a cleaner system, including the replacement of filters? So I don't think we currently have the additional filters available in the e-commerce store just yet. The filter itself, if I'm not mistaken, and I want to also double check here with on the site, I think it's $7.99, I believe. Let's go to the store. $8.99. So $8.99 for the filter. It's already available on e-commerce, and it's compatible with any method printer. So that is the regular method, Method X, the carbon fiber editions as well, will work with the filter, right? Oh, sorry, didn't show the screen here. So I was saying here, the filter is $8.99. It's already available on e-commerce. You can go ahead and buy it right now. And it's going to be compatible with, again, just reiterating this, the method X, the regular method, and the method carbon fiber additions, both X and regular method, will work with the filter. Going back to the questions here. Does this filter allow ABS printing in a closed environment, say in an office or a classroom? It does. Hey, here, you guys can see me here a little bit more. So, it's a complicated answer. I would say it's not that it allows for it, but it definitely helps. As I said before, here I have my printer located in my studio, in my apartment, and it's definitely helped a lot with any sort of noticeable smells that I might get with certain filaments. It's going to help quite a bit. The rating itself, we're working with, our engineers are working on defining the exact rating. So I would say it's going to definitely have an impact, and it's great. If you think about how much stuff gets captured by any HEPA filter at all, it has, I think that the ratio was, I think it's going to reduce over 94% of any volatile compounds that might be generated of the printer. So yes, definitely will help out with ABS being printed in an enclosed environment. I would still say you shouldn't be printing, because I've seen people do this, right? You shouldn't place these printers in a closet, right? It shouldn't be in a shack, like somewhere. You should keep them in a fairly ventilated space. I'm not saying that it needs to be a football field, but I'm saying, it needs to be at least a decent sized office overall. How often do you change filters? So the filters, they have a life of 1,000 hours, and that depends on you. How often do you print 1,000 hours? I think it's can vary a lot. My prints usually average around, say somewhere between 6 to 10 hours. So that gives you an idea. It's about 100 prints overall. If I'm printing every third day, this filter will probably last me about a year, depending on how heavy a user you are, or I am in this case. Is a cleaner, let's see if it's already sliced here. Oh, there we go. So I'll hit start next print so that you guys can hear the change in noise. It'll take just a second to start. And moving on with the questions. Is a cleaner attachment compatible with the method carbon fiber printer? Yes, I said that before. So the attachment is compatible with any printer, method X, method carbon fiber, method X carbon fiber. So any one of the method printers will be compatible with the cleaner attachment. Is the fan brushless? Is it strong enough to pull air through the filter? Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure if it's brushless. Maybe it says so on the fan itself. Let's see. I don't know the specifics of it. I don't think it is brushless, but I can find that out for you. But it's definitely strong enough to pull the air through. So it's starting to warm up. The fan is already on. And I don't know if you guys can hear my printer heating up. I'll be quiet for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys hear the printer heating up, and then I'll turn off the fan, right? So here's the printer heating up. And here's with the fan off. There's no real difference, right? The fan is on, and maybe if I bring it directly to my mic, you can hear it, but that's essentially because it's blowing air right into the mic, right? So yeah, I think it's going to be, it's not competing with the printer itself. And right now the main noise coming out of the printer is going to be my heating component. So as you guys know, there's two heating towers on the sides of the printer that will heat up the air, the whole chamber, and keep it at a consistent temperature. In this case, since I'm printing with ABS, it's going to be heating it up to 100 degrees Celsius, 110 just about. And that's going to be the main source of noise from the printer. Definitely not a noticeable source of noise, the filter itself, but powerful enough to pull up the air, have it or force it through the filters, both of them, and make sure that essentially most of the compounds, as I said, it's over 94% of the volatile compounds being captured by the filters on the cleaner. And with that, I think that we've run through most of the questions. I'll let the printer run a little bit more, just in case you guys want to keep hearing it, and jump back here to my main view. But as always, it's always great to have you guys here. It's great to be back. 40 episodes. That's quite a number, I would say. I don't know. It's been growing slowly but surely, and we're really happy that you guys are receiving this content, and we're happy to be making it. So any questions that you might have about the method, about the sketch over here, we're more than happy to answer them. You can contact us at hello@makerbot.com, Felipe, F-E-L-I-P-E, at makerbot.com, and let us know if you have any more questions, any more topics that you want us to touch on. But for now, that's about it. So with that, I thank you guys so much for joining today, and we'll be happy to see you guys next time. So thanks again, and have a great day. Bye.